The United States in 1844 was a nation trembling on the verge of great transformation. The Industrial Revolution was reshaping cities. Steam power was no longer an experiment. It was the engine of a new world. And in Washington, D.C., the recently widowed President John Tyler, the first unelected man to ever hold the office, was fighting for political survival. Tyler had been rejected by his own party. Congress despised him. Newspapers called him His Accidency. But in February 1844, fortune finally smiled on him. A treaty with the Republic of Texas, something Tyler believed would secure his legacy, was nearly ready. All he needed was public support. So when Commander Robert Stockton invited the president and hundreds of Washington elites for a celebratory cruise down the Potomac River aboard the Navy's newest marvel, the USS Princeton, Tyler accepted immediately. The ship was the most advanced vessel America had ever built. Sleek, fast, terrifyingly powerful. But its main attraction was something no other ship in the world had, a mechanical monster known as the Peacemaker. The Peacemaker. The Peacemaker was a colossal, experimental wrought iron cannon capable of firing a 225-pound shell nearly 5 miles. It was meant to symbolize America's industrial superiority, and its designer, John Ericsson, was a Swedish-born mechanical genius whose inventions would later shape the Civil War. But there was a problem. Ericsson repeatedly warned Stockton and the Navy the Peacemaker wasn't safe. It had not been properly tested. Its iron was flawed. Stockton ignored him. He wanted spectacle, not caution. And on February 28, 1844, with the president and nearly 400 guests aboard, the spectacle began. Washington's elite on deck. It was a celebrity event. Senators, ambassadors, diplomats, journalists, wealthy families, military officers. The atmosphere was festive. A Navy band played patriotic music. Wine flowed. Dresses swished. The president walked the deck with his fiancée, Julia Gardner, a young woman half his age, the daughter of a prominent New York senator. It was a perfect campaign moment. Commander Stockton strutted like a king, boasting of the Peacemaker's flawless construction. To prove it, he ordered a demonstration shot. The cannon boomed. The crowd erupted into cheers. Reporters scribbled notes. Stockton puffed out his chest. So he ordered another shot. Then another. Still, the Peacemaker held. By late afternoon, spirits were high, and Stockton wanted one final demonstration, this time for the president himself.
The explosion. President Tyler walked below deck moments before the cannon was fired, hoping to enjoy a quiet drink with Julia Gardner's father. It was the decision that saved his life. At precisely 3:15 p.m., the Peacemaker fired its final shot. The ship did not merely shake, it detonated. Witnesses said it sounded like the earth itself had cracked open. The cannon shattered, blasting lethal iron shrapnel through the crowd. The deck was ripped apart. A cloud of black smoke swallowed the ship. One senator was decapitated instantly. Another was blown into the air and landed in the river, lifeless. Secretary of State Abel Upsher's body was torn open. Secretary of the Navy Thomas Gilmer died where he stood. Over 20 people were killed. Dozens more were maimed. The nation had never experienced a political catastrophe like it. The aftermath,
a nation in shock. Bodies lay twisted across the deck, blood seeped between the planks. Survivors wandered in a daze, some missing limbs, some clutching loved ones turned into unrecognizable remains. Julia Gardner fainted at the sight of her father's dead body. President Tyler carried her in his arms to safety, an image that would soon become the center of scandalous Washington gossip. When the Princeton finally docked, crowds screamed at the horror. Newspapers rushed to print extra editions. The United States government had narrowly avoided losing its president and almost its entire cabinet in a single moment. But the strangest part was what happened next. The vanishing genius. The official report blamed nobody except John Ericsson, the engineer who had warned the Navy the cannon was unsafe. Congress called him to testify. Commander Stockton, obsessed with protecting his reputation, lied repeatedly. He claimed Ericsson designed the Peacemaker, which he had not. Ericsson tried to defend himself, but the political pressure was overwhelming. Newspapers, under Stockton's influence, labeled him a foreign menace. His career collapsed. Funding for all his projects disappeared. And then, Ericsson vanished from public life. For nearly 2 decades, the man whose warning could have saved the president was erased from American memory.
A strange twist of fate. But destiny wasn't finished with John Ericsson. In 1861, as the Civil War began, the U.S. Navy faced a crisis. The Confederate ironclad CSS Virginia, formerly the Merrimack, threatened to destroy the Union fleet. The Navy was desperate. A forgotten Swedish engineer appeared with a design he had kept hidden since his humiliation. A revolutionary ironclad warship with a rotating turret, something the world had never seen. They gave him one last chance. Ericsson built the USS Monitor in just 100 days. And on March 9, 1862, the Monitor fought the Merrimack in the first ironclad battle in world history, an event that changed naval warfare forever. Ericsson, the man once blamed for a national tragedy, became a hero. The government rewrote its opinion of him. Congress apologized. Newspapers retracted old accusations. But the mystery remained. Why did Stockton lie? Why did the Navy cover it up? And why did the government allow the blame to fall on an innocent engineer? Historians believe the truth is simple. If the public learned the explosion was caused by negligence from a high-ranking Navy officer and ignored warnings, they feared it would destroy trust in the military. The easiest solution? Erase the scandal. Erase the engineer. Erase the truth.
The president who slipped through history. President John Tyler, shaken but alive, made a sudden decision. He proposed to Julia Gardner, the young woman he carried off the exploding ship. She accepted. Their marriage was the talk of the nation. But politically, the disaster ruined Tyler. His opponents called him cursed. His Texas Treaty failed in the Senate. His popularity collapsed. Today, he is one of the least remembered presidents, even though he shaped the path to American expansion. Yet, behind the silence lies a secret. John Tyler is the only U.S. president to survive a mass casualty disaster caused by the government itself, and then marry a woman whose father died in that very catastrophe. What was hidden for a century? For generations, the Princeton explosion was treated as an unfortunate accident. Only in the 20th century did historians uncover letters, diaries, and Navy records showing the Peacemaker was rushed into service without proper testing. Stockton covered up Ericsson's warnings. Congress suppressed testimony to protect naval reputation. The deaths of government officials opened political roots that shaped the future Texas annexation. The event also permanently changed safety standards in the U.S. Navy, though these changes were quietly added without acknowledging their true cause. In short, the day the president nearly died was buried under layers of political self-preservation. The legacy. Today, the USS Princeton explosion remains one of the most astonishing American tragedies almost nobody knows. Yet its impact shaped everything from naval engineering to presidential politics. John Ericsson went from national villain to forgotten ghost to the savior of the Union Navy. President Tyler went from political failure to survivor of the deadliest accident in presidential history to a president whose sons and grandsons lived into the 21st century, an unbelievable fact noted by historians. Commander Stockton lived his life respected, wealthy, and unpunished, his lies never costing him a moment of freedom. And Julia Gardner Tyler became one of the most influential First Ladies, reshaping White House traditions that still exist today. All because of one cannon, one explosion, one afternoon that nearly rewrote American history.